right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to week 4 of Squeeze the Juice. New week, new picks. Evan, how you doing this week? It was mayhem last weekend.
What a crazy weekend it was. I mean, we're going to get into it in the recap, but wow, I mean, rivalry week lived up to what we said it would be, not on the field, but off the field for sure. And it was a I mean, I never really seen that in my lifetime, really, just what happened after the Michigan State game. The videos that ensued in the tunnel, just craziness, really. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good week for us. We did all right. I mean, we both had winning records on the week. I was 2-2 in college. You were 2-2 in college. I was 3-2 in the NFL. You were 3-1 in the NFL. So we did all right last week.
Not too shabby.
No, not at all. So that brings my college record up to 11-6. Your college record sitting at 8-9. My NFL record is 7-10. And your NFL record is 10-6. So
wow,
yeah. Overall record for me 18-16. Overall record for you 18-15. So we're both basically neck and neck. I should not have given the people the Lions money line last weekend.
Yeah, I mean that extra, because otherwise we'd be even probably.
We'd be close too, but yeah, I mean, you want to just get into this and just rip it off?
Yeah, we can. Off? That was, right. That was a pretty quick, good recap. I mean, aside from literally the story, aside from those stats, that the Michigan State game was the story of the week. It's not even just a story of football. It's a story of it's on everything.
It's national news. You know, suspensions are coming out. I think the suspension number's up to 10 for Michigan State.
Oh wow!
Including their best player, Jacoby Windman. He was involved in the scuffle, and then I saw today that Jamon Green, someone from his family or associated with him, attacked attempted to attack Trey Mosley, I believe, or Malik Carr, one of the two, while he was boarding the MSU bus to go back to East Lansing. So just craziness out of that game. And I got to say, as a Spartan, it wasn't a good moment for us, right? It was not a proud moment to be a Spartan. But, with that being said, I don't think, Harbaugh or the Michigan players that were involved are completely blameless. We don't know exactly what's going on. And we also have to put some blame on the state police that we're not separating the two teams after the game, because I saw them do it at halftime. I saw the police. They got their arms like this. They're like, no, you're not breaking through.
It was stated that there was extra security.
Exactly. And then after the game concludes, you have most of the Michigan team celebrating, hoisting the Paul Bunyan trophy. Congrats, you won. Mm-hmm. You're the better football team. And then you have a couple guys who leak into the tunnel while MSU is trying to get up out of there because we just got our
tensions are still high.
Yeah, we just got our butts kicked, and obviously that's not the football program that Mel Tucker wants to have represent Michigan State, right? He doesn't want that. And it was a bad look. But at the end of the day, I can't totally absolve, other parties that were impacting that, completely either. There was more to blame than just the Michigan State players. It doesn't justify what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. It wasn't just 100% MSU.
Right.
It wasn't 100% them, but obviously the actions of it were the problem,
Right. I mean,
words can have people can say whatever they want, but when it gets physical,
I mean, it's unfortunate that occurred, and obviously Mel Tucker and that football program is going to have a lot of apologizing to do, not necessarily to Michigan, but I just think to the public eye. They got to clean this up, and they got to do it quickly and I think he's done a good job. They've suspended everyone that they know so far has been involved, and they're going to probably have further punishment. I'm not sure to what extent, but it seems like they're on top of it. And look, at the end of the day, we just got to move on. It happened. It was ugly. It's just going to add more fuel to the rivalry, but it was... this rivalry is getting to a point where it's getting ugly.
Yeah.
It's getting
getting
really ugly.
Kind of vibe.
There's no respect for each other. There's absolutely no respect. And it's unfortunate because I think a lot of good rivalries have a respect factor, and this one just doesn't. There's zero respect. And I think that plays into MSU probably more often than not. But, it's just at the end of the day, like, you can't have that.
No.
You can't have that. Like, leave it on the football field. Let the fans be the idiots that are punching each other and
yeah,
cussing
exactly.
each other out.
Because that probably happened anyway, but no one really talked about it.
Yeah, don't let this get any more physical than the game already is. So, just
do
unfortunate, but I mean,
do better.
At the end of the day, Michigan State covered that 22.5 point spread. They lost by 22. So that was a win for me, and I felt pretty good just that they covered it.
The thing is, you look at that game, and if the red zone wasn't a problem, that was that was an absolute destruction of a game.
Well, give Michigan State's defense a little bit of credit. They held strong in the red zone, and I think that's a big problem for Michigan because I think they're really predictable in the red zone. They're not really mixing it up. There's nothing schematically that's impressive when they're in the red zone. Look, they can run the ball at will.
Oh, yeah.
From the 20 to the 20. Once you get down into the short end, you got to be able to be a little creative. You got to get the passing game involved. There just wasn't any of that. Michigan needs to figure that out if they really want to challenge Ohio State and go beyond them because you're not going to win against Ohio State scoring field goals. Like Jake Moody's awesome. He had a great game. Honestly, he's probably an NFL kicker. He's probably going to get drafted.
Legit. Yeah.
But you're not going to win kicking 3. You got to get it in the end zone.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem for Michigan. They got the win. You're going to win like that against a Michigan State team that's now 3-5 and just isn't very good. But, Michigan's defense looks great, and their run game is phenomenal. But they got to be able to score touchdowns. So we'll see how that goes, as the season really builds up to the game at the shoe, right? I mean, that's the
game.
It's just a collision course at this point. We're just kind of waiting for it. And, hopefully none of these teams slip because you kind of want to see undefeated versus undefeated in that game.
Oh, absolutely. And you could argue that at that point, it should be, 2 top 4 teams going at it.
Probably, unless, no one else in the top, 4 slips up. But I think that's kind of inevitable with what we have, going on this weekend. But, other than that, Tennessee, they destroyed Kentucky. We kind of knew that was going to happen. Ohio State had that backdoor cover almost, and then they gave it the late touchdown. So they won by 13. We didn't get that one. Kansas State, I got to give you props. They destroyed Oklahoma State. My Cowboys got rocked.
Absolutely.
They got shut out. Spencer Sanders looked terrible. Just crazy, right? I did not expect. Granted, high-scoring game. You expect that out of Big 12 football, but to get shut out, that's so rare. So
Go Wildcats, baby.
That was a great game. Dolphins, you had that. That was a nice pick.
I was at that game.
You're at the game.
Yeah,
so you got
very extremely unfortunate.
Man, Lions could not score in the second half. That's just awesome, right? But Pats, we both were on Pats. I was on the Seahawks. I felt pretty good about that one.
Yeah,
I told you the loss was coming for New York at some point.
And I knew there was a high % chance that was going to happen, but I was just trying to ride with the Giants, trying to have faith in them.
It's it's not a bad play, but I just, I was betting against them, because they have overachieved so far. And then our last game was Niners at Rams, and that was such an easy, Niners just destroyed them. Come on. We knew what was going to happen. CMC, passing touchdown, receiving touchdown, rushing touchdown. He's
Man's
just
too good.
He is magical. But that was the recap.
Love that.
We're both positive after 3 weeks of this. We're having fun. And, if you tailed all of our picks, you'd be at a losing record right now. You'd be 16-18 or 15-18. But luckily, if you faded our picks, that would be a record. But if you tailed us, you'd be positive. So
to the moon.
Let's keep it going.
Juice to the moon.
Let's keep it going. We're gonna keep handing out winners, hopefully. So let's get us started here with the NCAA slate.
Yeah, hopping in week 4 picks. We're hitting it in reverse. We're going late night to early day because that's the way the games are going based on high quality. First pick of the week, first game for college, we got 21 Wake Forest heading to number 22 NC State. NC State is plus 3.5. this was kind of an iffy game I was looking at because I'm just like, I don't know how much I really I'm going to enjoy this game. It's a tough one to look at, but I mean, it's tough. You know, the Deacons, they've scored at least 31 points in every game up until last week, which is pretty impressive for, I mean, the way the Wake Forest has been in recent years. But, I mean, it's a toss-up in this game.
It's a tough one. I mean, I'm looking at the quarterback play. Sam Hartman for Wake Forest, he's a stud. I mean, he's an absolute stud. And their offense can score points. They're 13th in scoring offense, so obviously they're scoring at will. You do have to kind of take into the fact, though, that they lost 48-21 against Louisville. Louisville's not very good. And then NC State's coming off a tight 22-21 victory over Virginia Tech, and this is not, your vintage Tyrod Taylor Virginia Tech team. This is not a good Virginia Tech team. So these are two teams, in my opinion, that are just lately maybe underperforming, kind of struggling a little bit. This is a night game. It's at NC State, which
State is on a 15-game win streak at home.
They're very good at home, and their defense is phenomenal. 12th in scoring defense. So you look at this game. This is such a tough game for me to pick. I want to hear what you have to say first. Because
is this the one you're talking about?
I got several games where I want to hear your opinion first.
Okay, a little change up this week.
I'm looking at this game very nervously. So tell me what you're feeling.
So I believe in Wake Forest and Hartman and everything that he's doing. They're putting up numbers. I mean, I think they're a pretty solid team all around, where you can look at NC State and they got to the top 10. They took that loss to Clemson. Their quarterback play has been iffy, but the way they just play at home, it has been pretty marvelous. Potentially 16 straight at home. So even though I believe in Wake Forest, I am picking NC State, and I'm taking them plus 3.5.
Okay, so I kind of
you're gonna flip the
no. I kind of like your pick. Yesterday it was Wake Forest minus 4.5. Now it's down to 3.5. So you're getting a little bit more value there in terms of NC State just got a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. This is a tough game for me to pick. It's like I feel like I'm walking into a buzzsaw with this pick.
Oh no!
I'm gonna close my eyes with this one. I know I said that last week or a couple weeks ago with LSU and Ole Miss, I believe it was, where I said I'm just going to close my eyes and pick LSU.
And you did.
I'm going to do the same thing with Wake Forest. I'm going to pick Wake Forest. It's a road favorite. I know I'm picking against a home dog at night with a team that's on a 15-game win streak at home with a defense that's phenomenal. But I'm going to just trust that Wake Forest, ugly loss last week, bounce back spot. They get it right. Sam Hartman has a nice game. Wake Forest minus 3.5. I am terrified of this pick, and I'm probably going to lose it, but give me the road favorite in this game.
I respect it. I like it, and I respect it.
I don't like it, and I don't respect it.
All these games, most of these games in college this week are toss-ups, extreme toss-ups, except for maybe one. But it just depends on how you're riding.
I think this is going to be a very nice week for Vegas. I think this is going to be a very nice week for Vegas. I think they're going to absolutely squeeze our juice this week. So, on to the next one, my friend.
On to the next. We got the Horns, the Longhorns of Texas, 24, heading to what some may say is not really a dangerous place to play college football. To Little Manhattan at 13, Kansas State. It is K-State plus 2.5. Evan, what do you got to say?
You can't do me like that. I know, Manhattan, Kansas got to Oklahoma State last week. They shut out the Cowboys. I have no idea how they're not favored in this game at home against Texas. I think Kansas State is the better football team. At least they're playing like it right now. But we've talked about Texas. They got Bijan Robinson. They got Xavier Worthy. They got Quinn Ewers, right? And, Sark is a great football coach, and they have the potential to be really good next-level players, too, all three of them. Mm-hmm. But they haven't really translated that into wins this season. They're 5-3. So, you look at Texas, they've kind of disappointed in some games where I really think they could have put the foot put the foot on the gas pedal and just run away with it. Especially that game against Oklahoma State where we watched that one pretty intensely. Quinn Ewers just folded in the second half. Just completely folded. And the deuce is loose for Kansas State right now. I mean, Deuce Vaughn is balling. And the quarterback, whatever his name is, Will Howard, he was really good last week. He looks like he actually has a bit of a, I don't want to say, I don't really know how to phrase it or categorize it. It just feels like he has more control of the offense and is able to do things that Martinez isn't necessarily capable of doing.
More locked in?
Just, I don't really know how to phrase it. It just feels like, Martinez, it's more run heavy. It's more rely on the legs. I like when a quarterback just kind of sits in the pocket, gets it done, and then he also has the ability to run too. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that as a secondary complement to the big arm. And Will Howard, he's kind of got a cannon. I mean, he's kind of got a nice arm.
Agree.
What I've seen, he looks like he can absolutely sling the ball. And look, I'm worried. I'm really worried about Texas and their ability to score points in this game. But Texas has won 5 in a row against Kansas State. They're favored. I don't know how. So I'm just going to lean with Texas here because every football reason, right, how Kansas State's playing, they're at home. They look like they're the better football team. Every football reason points you to Kansas State winning this game and Kansas State being favored, but yet Texas is favored by 2.5 points. So that's my compass. I'm going to lean into it. Texas minus 2.5 is my pick because I just don't know why it's Texas 2.5. So it looks weird to me. So that's why I'm going with it.
That's a good question. That streak may be a factor in it. Shockingly, Texas is averaging more points a game than Kansas State. Texas is averaging 36.4 to Kansas State's 31, which is actually pretty shocking the way Kansas State's been playing. The defense for Kansas State has been holding teams under 20 points on average, though.
Best defense in the Big 12, and they've got really good play out of their corners. Really good play out of their corners.
The crazy thing is, you could look at Kansas State and be like, "Wow, they could have been the one team that upset TCU." It was an unfortunate loss.
They probably should have won that game. We talked about last week. I thought TCU got lucky in that game because you had Martinez go down, then you had Will Howard go down. They were on their third string quarterback. Will Howard looked like he was in control of that game. Will Howard might be the better quarterback in Kansas State. There's value with Kansas State here. So, I mean, if that's the way you're rolling, I don't blame you.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, you got Texas got Bijan Robinson in the backfield.
So
Man's
good.
a workhorse, right?
So good.
Yet Kansas State is still averaging more rushing yards per game.
Deuce is loose.
Deuce is loose.
Deuce Vaughn he's a gadget guy, but he's so dynamic. And Kansas State, their ability, honestly, to just kind of, I don't know. It feels like they've just been so good in the first half of these games. They've been so good at closing out games. Unfortunately, that didn't happen against TCU. Mm-hmm. And I'm forgetting their other loss, but
I'd have to think.
It doesn't matter. I think Kansas State is a really good play.
They lost to Tulane.
They lost to Tulane.
Tulane and TCU. They lost to Tulane 17-10. The only two losses are Tulane, but Tulane's been on the rise.
Tulane is on the rise. They got ranked in the college football playoff, and they have that little green wave guy, one of the best mascots in football.
Absolutely.
That's one of the best logos in football.
They are ranked 19 playing at Tulsa this week.
Tulane's a good team. Don't disrespect Tulane. They are a good football team. I'm going Texas just because I don't know why they're favored. And it disgusts me that I'm going Texas in Manhattan after I just clown myself with Oklahoma State, but it doesn't make sense why they're favored.
I agree. Tulane's only loss is to Southern Miss by 3 points.
Come on, Tulane.
At home. Very unfortunate. But I rode with TCU for so long. Kansas State was the pick last week. Kansas State's the pick this week. Kansas State plus 2.5. Give me the Wildcats, baby.
No, it's a good pick.
Give me the Wildcats.
I hate the Texas pick, but I'm closing my eyes with all my picks this week in college football, and it makes me sick.
It's okay.
On to the next one.
On to the next big game. This could be the biggest game if there wasn't a bigger one. It is number 6 Alabama heading down to Baton Rouge with a surprisingly 10 ranked LSU after the college football playoff rankings came out. And this game always has something to it. It really does. I mean, there's been a year or two where, LSU was just out of it. But This is a good rivalry. I'd say when it's in Baton Rouge.
So I agree 100% with you. I mean, this is two icons of college football. I mean, Louisiana State University, University of Alabama. I mean, come on. Like, that's SEC football right there with those two schools. Nick Saban and Brian Kelly have gone head-to-head twice in their college coaching careers. Both of them, Kelly at Notre Dame, obviously. One was in the BCS National Championship game in 2013 when Bama won 42-14. The other was in 2020 in the College Football Playoff semifinal where Bama won 31-14.
Wow.
So now Saban gets Kelly in Death Valley. And I still don't trust LSU. We talked about when they played Ole Miss. I was like, they're impossible to trust. One week they look really good. The next week they look really bad. I mean, they got crushed by Tennessee, lost to Florida State, but then they crushed Ole Miss and looked like really unstoppable. Jane Daniels is a really good quarterback. And Kayshon Boutte is a great wide receiver. And that defense is really playing well, too. This is a tough pick for me, but I'm looking at the spread, 13.5. That is, that's a pretty big number for Alabama. And I, as much as I don't trust LSU, it can be hard to trust Bama right now too. But I don't know. I'm just looking at the history with Kelly and Saban, and I'm looking at 2 17-plus point wins for Alabama and Nick Saban, and I'm thinking, I don't know if that plays into it at all, if that is a factor, but I think Bama's primed to continue to reestablish itself amongst the college football elites. I know the goal every year is to win the national championship, and I think this is a statement week for Bama. They did it against Mississippi State. That's a cute win. Now go beat a 10th-ranked LSU by a lot. I think that's the mission. I think that's the goal, and I think Bryce Young, having a little bit of time to recover, heal up that shoulder, I think should be better. And that Bama offense should be better. So I'm going to take Bama minus 13.5.
Do you have Bama to win the game?
Easily.
Of course.
Easily. Bama minus 13.5. I think they dominate in this one.
This one I was looking at the money line for. I was really looking at it but I was like, that's wild because LSU money line was plus 400. And I was like, that's kind of bold.
I mean, yeah, it's a bold pick, but,
I did not take the money line. I can let you know that. It's very interesting because Alabama's 10-2 straight up as a road favorite in the past 2 years. Well, you got LSU straight up is 2-1 as an underdog with this season with upsets against Mississippi State and Florida. But they did have a 40-13 blowout at home against Tennessee. But Tennessee is arguably number one. So it's a very back and forth. I'm feeling bold this week.
Okay.
Feeling bold. Obviously, Bama is the pick, you want to say, because they just know how to roll.
That's the way I'm rolling.
But believe it or not, I'm going to flip the switch in the script, and I got LSU plus 13.5.
Okay.
And I am feeling it.
We are against each other with every pick so far, and that is scary. We're going to have a shakeup in these college football
You're
rankings.
taking all the aways, and I'm taking all the home boys.
Dude, I'm being such an idiot. I'm taking all these these road favorites, and it's going to absolutely screw me. I'm telling you, it's a terrible strategy. Don't
trust it.
If you're going to trust anyone this week, if you're listening, trust Justin on these picks right now because he's taking you're taking home underdogs. That's a really smart play, especially in college football. Home underdogs play really well. I'm just looking at this week thinking, I don't know. I'm looking at these numbers. I'm looking at these games. Look at these spreads. I'm like, I kind of just got to lean with the road favorite.
I respect it, especially when Alabama's the road favorite. That's a huge deal. Other ones, the first game's a toss-up. Second one, you would trust Texas. I know you trust Texas. I know you're kind of a little afraid of that one, the way K-State's been playing, but you trust Texas.
I barely
barely
trust them. I'm just trusting Vegas because there's no reason why that number should be Texas minus 2.5. There's no reason.
I agree. And Bama LSU can be controversial. A huge thing is going to be for Bama's containing Jaden Daniels. He's been playing really well.
Oh, yeah.
Averaging 292 yards of total offense per game. Alabama's run game, though.
Jahmyr
Gibbs is out of this world. The man can't be stopped. The man knows how to shift. I mean, you could argue he could go straight to the league right now, but he's still a true freshman, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is a game where Saban gets his guys up to battle. He gets his guys ready for Louisiana State, and I don't really think that LSU is totally amazing. Like, I know they got the 10th spot in the CFP rankings, but I really don't trust Louisiana State. I just don't.
Oh, I get it. And a huge thing for Alabama will be, can they reduce penalties? Can they keep that going?
Got to stay clean. Got to stay disciplined in the defensive end.
Yeah, against Mississippi State's one thing at home, but
yeah, I mean, they were comfy. They had to show up. The defense played phenomenal. You're going to need that performance again, and the offense is going to have to be better too, because Bama left some points against Mississippi State. So we're going to get into this next game. It's the game of the week. But, I expect Bama personally to dominate, because that's just what I want to believe in. I want to believe in Saban just being like, you know what? This is still Alabama football, and we're going to give it to you.
And that's still Brian Kelly.
That's still Brian Kelly.
With LSU apparel.
Not yet, Mr. Kelly. Not yet.
We'll have to see. All right, to the granddaddy of them all. No, I'm kidding.
This week it is.
It is. You could argue this should be a 1 versus 2 matchup.
I think it should be, but
we'll
leave that for the committee.
Yeah, the committee, who I could argue is not as legit as some.
No, but I actually like what the committee did here this week with their rankings.
You do? You like that?
Well, I like it for this game, and I'll tell you why.
Okay. Well, we'll get into it. The big game of the week. 1, Tennessee takes that undefeated record to Athens to play at now 3, Georgia. Both undefeated. Both undefeated in the SEC. It is a huge game. Georgia is -7.5.
8.5.
Or 8.5.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that change up. -8.5 at home now. So that, I don't even know what to say about that. This is the biggest game of the year.
So far, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And look, everyone and their mother is on Tennessee to win and cover the spread in this game. 85% of the money on the spreads leans Tennessee. 85% of the bets on the spread leans Tennessee. So everyone is picking Tennessee. And, what does that mean? 85% on the money, 85% on the bets. Look, that means Vegas would be wiping their cheeks in money if Georgia wins this game, if Georgia covers the spread, really. So on the field, Georgia, we know what they are. Good defense. You got the 3 tight ends, Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington, Eric Gilbert. Look, they're really, really tough up front. They can run the football, not as effectively as they did last year with Zamir White and James Cook, but they still can run the football, and their defense just plays. They're 4th in total defense, and there's just a super balanced team, right? I mean, they pass well, run well, play good defense. This is Kirby Smart. He has perfected college football up to this point, and you saw that last year. That team was so good. You lose a ton of stars on defense. It's not necessarily a reload, but the defense is performing exceptionally well still. It's not as historically dominant as it was last year. They're still performing really well. You got to give credit to Tennessee, though. I mean, Hedden Hooker and Jalen Hyatt, they're so dynamic. And they're getting Cedric Tillman back, too. So Cedric Tillman, another dynamic wide receiver that just makes their offense even more scary. So he's getting in the mix. He got involved last week. And Tennessee's defense, I'm going to give them credit last week. They dominated Will Levis. Kentucky was terrible. They scored 6 points.
Out.
It was. I don't know if it was just an aberration or if Tennessee's defense turned the corner, because up to that point, Tennessee's defense was terrible. I still don't think it's a very good defense, and it might not matter. But look, at the end of the day, this is in Athens. Everyone's on Tennessee. And I'm not going to doubt the national champs. I'm not going to doubt Kirby Smart, and I'm not going to doubt Stetson Bennett, who's older than 11 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
That's insane.
I am going with the Dogs. Let's go, baby.
Reminds me of New Year's Eve.
Georgia, baby, all day, -8.5. I love it.
I forget his name. Georgia is, I think, starting linebacker. Torn pec, out for the season.
Nolan Smith, I believe his name is.
Yes, correct. Yeah, out for the season. Torn pec. You could argue a partial leader on that defense. I mean, they're definitely loaded deep, so it's not like a thing to stress about. Same thing last year. Crazy that also happened to Kobe Dean.
I know.
Like, what are the odds? something going on in Georgia.
I know.
I don't know. But, yeah, Tennessee's defense is still tough. They're allowing 21 even points per game. So far this season, they're allowing that. Well, Georgia, nice 10.5. Second best defense to Illinois in the country as of right now, but SEC defense, you could argue, still the best. You know, you put Georgia versus Illinois, it's probably going to be a different kind of game.
I mean, Illinois is in the Big Ten West. They haven't really played anyone, so, I mean.
What do you expect? But, I mean, Hendon Hooker, you could argue, is beyond Stetson Bennett, but Stetson Bennett does have a great crew around him. He's been through this. He's won a national championship. It's nothing new here for this guy. No,
he's not the most talented quarterback at Georgia right now, but you know what he is? He's the leader. He's the most composed, and he gets it done. And Kirby can trust him. And, you know, same thing can be said for Hendon Hooker. I mean, this is year 2. He's been looking phenomenal. Probably going to win the Heisman. If not, he'll for sure be a finalist, and he's going to get a lot of votes. So, I mean, we're expecting a great game, but, I mean, who are you leaning in this one? Because my gut was telling me you're going Tennessee, but I don't know. Maybe you're going to surprise me.
Your gut is very smart. I am taking Tennessee, but in this game, I'm taking the Tennessee money line.
You're taking them to win?
I am.
Oh, you think they go into Athens and pull this out?
Money line plus 235. I told you there's 2 SEC teams I ride for. That is Ole Miss and the Rebels, and I am taking the Volunteers. I don't care. I don't care that it's in Georgia. Time to show up, show out. That Georgia defense, number 2, arguably number 1 in the arguably number 1 in the country. You know what? Hendon Hooker's gonna say, "Let's cook." Put that speed, put that pace over him. I'm taking it.
Oh baby, I don't
care. I'm taking it straight up.
I do not know about that, my friend.
I believe. I had to be wild at some point.
Dude, I love the aggressiveness and I love the play just because, I mean, it's ballsy. But I mean, you could be right. Maybe
I'm feeling ballsy.
Maybe Tennessee's on that magical run, you know, just where they just steamroll everyone. It doesn't matter if it's the number 1 defense or the number 30 defense, number 60 defense, number 100 defense. They just dominate every single team.
Everything about them connects to 2019 LSU. Joe Burrow and crew.
I don't know. I just don't think Hendon Hooker's Joe Burrow, and I don't think you have a Justin Jefferson either. I mean,
book it.
I don't know.
You do not think Hyatt could be on that same vibe? I agree Jefferson's definitely better, but you can't say Hyatt's not on that vibe.
Well, you also have Jamar Chase.
Man's almost at 45 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, and 14 TDs, tied for school record.
Dude, that's one of the best college football teams of all time in LSU. I don't think Tennessee is.
I know I don't think of that, but I'm just the comparisons are there.
They're there, but you know what else is there? That Georgia defense. You know what else is there? That little bulldog in Athens, Georgia. That's ready to bark up and down the football field. You're not beating Kirby Smart in Athens. I don't care. It's Georgia all day. We didn't have the show, but I told everyone, I said, Georgia's going to steamroll Michigan. They're going to dominate because you want to know why? Georgia's different. Georgia's a different breed. This is the Bulldogs. You're coming into Athens. You're coming into a scary, scary place, and they are not coming out of this game the number 1 team in college football. I'm telling you right now. They are going to be dethroned quickly, and that's what thing. The committee disrespected Georgia, putting them at 3. Are you kidding me? 3? Do you see what they did at Oregon? They dominated Oregon, and I love Oregon.
That was
and
game
Oregon
1 of
looks
the season.
really good.
How do you can't say nothing about that? Also, defending national championships. So you're gonna take defending champion. It's a new regime.
No.
It's a new regime rolling in. You can't just be like, oh yeah, they won last year, so it's automatic bid.
Automatic. Georgia is them. They are going to win this game by a lot. I'm going to say...
By a lot?
No,
oh my goodness.
Double-digit win.
Double-digit win?
Yes. Double-digit win for Georgia, easily. I'm going to go...
I'm throwing everything I got on that Tennessee
money
line.
42, Tennessee 21.
Whoa.
They are doubling up Tennessee. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. and you can embarrass me, you can humiliate me. I am taking Georgia all day, sir.
I think Tennessee wins 35-17.
Oh, my goodness. 35-17.
Book it.
Okay, we are
off the rails.
We have lost cabin pressure. We are against each other on every single college football game this week.
This is the first time I'm taking the away team.
Yeah, of course.
All right. We've been reckless. We've been having some fun. I don't care. I like it. I'm taking a risk. We'll see what happens. It's college football. Unlike NFL, it's fun. At least this year. And anything can happen. Anything can happen.
It's true. It's going to be so much fun.
You know what? Honestly, even if it was the Tennessee loss, I think it'd be hype to see like a crazy over 100 combined.
Oh my goodness.
That'd be crazy to see. Wouldn't that be just hype to see?
It'd be crazy. I don't know. I don't know if Georgia's defense is going to allow that, but that would be wild.
I don't think Georgia's offense can score that.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they can score a lot, but I think a lot of that factors into their defense being able to score some points too, causing turnovers, causing havoc, setting things up for the offense. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. And Athens is going to be rocking. And Georgia, man, I cannot believe. I mean, I knew you were going to go against the Dogs.
Of course. I don't hate Georgia. I like Georgia.
No,
but I got to right.
You got to be all in that.
Dogs barking. I do love Bulldogs. Oh, he's shooting the money at me.
That's gonna be me after this Georgia game.
Whatever. Those are clean. Okay?
I know.
You got it way better than I do. The money gun's out. He's throwing it around town.
Let's go Dogs, baby.
All right, to the NFL we go. We got our sad Lions at home hosting the Packers. It is Lions plus 3.5, which is kind of shocking. How you feeling after last week, my friend?
God. Can you pick this game first, please? I'll break it down a little bit, though, but just pick it first. All right, so we know the Lions' defense is terrible. They gave up 5 yards per carry, 150 rushing yards a game. They give up like 8 yards per pass. Their completion percentage is basically 70%. I mean, it's just so bad. And I don't even think it was that bad against Miami last week. I think it was pretty bad. The pass defense, I thought they kind of were okay stopping the run. I mean, for their standards, it was okay. It still wasn't very good. Packers defense isn't great either. They can't stop the run. And, their pass defense is all right. It's okay. They're averaging like they're averaging close to 7 yards per attempt and a 67% completion percentage. So, I mean, these defenses aren't very great. But you're looking at a Packers team that's lost 4 in a row. Do you really think I'm going to trust Rodgers to lose a 5th in a row?
I don't know, man. The Packers are averaging, an ugly 18.1 points per game. The Lions are averaging almost 10 points more per game, but the problem is they're also allowing an extra 10 more points per game on defense.
Dude, these teams are
washes out.
These teams are terrible. The Packers cannot do anything on offense, and you got Rodgers on the mic. We just need to simplify things. What is there to simplify? You're terrible. You're washed. You're terrible. Your offense is terrible. Your defense is terrible.
That money could have went to a better offense.
Or Devontae Adams. Oops.
Oh, man. The Lions are averaging over 400 yards a game on offense.
And it doesn't matter because they're 1-6.
The Lions could score 100 points and still lose 101-100.
I know. And look, Swift, he's been banged up. He had 5 carries and a couple catches, and Dan Campbell's out here like, I think we gave him 1 too many carries. He had 5 carries, Dan. 5. He didn't have 10. He didn't have 15. He had 5 carries. How is that putting too much pressure on DeAndre Swift? Is he just made of glass? Is this what we have to accept now?
For some reason, Jamal Williams is great, but they're trusting his supposed consistency against a legit top 5 running back in talent and Swift.
And you know what? I don't know how you felt about that Hawkinson trade.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I think he's good, But is he good enough for us to spend that extra big bag that he probably has to get? No.
No, I'm right there with you. And
No.
I honestly hate Hawkinson. I hate him. I hated the pick. I don't think he was that talented at all. I don't think he was that special. He couldn't contribute at all in the run game. He's a terrible run blocker.
Good pick
One of the
outside
worst
the top 10.
PFF graded. I don't know if you care about PFF. It's arbitrary, but
He ain't my BFF, I'll tell you that. No more.
But yeah, he had like a pretty low run grade, and I hate Hawkinson. Okay, and I heard a lot of Lions fans upset about the trade. Some approved of it. I heard some upset about it. At the end of the day, Hawk sucks, okay? So he's gone, all right? He wasn't doing anything for us. And I don't care who the quarterback is next year. Maybe we get Bryce Young, all right? Maybe we go 1-16, and we take quarterback number 1. Maybe it's Bryce Young. I don't care if Hawk's there or not. Tight end is such an easily replaceable position. It's so easy to replace that position because you can find them anywhere in the draft. You can find them in the second round, third round, fourth round.
You're not
you can
finding
win a tight end.
You're not finding Kittle or Kelsey every draft.
No,
Everyone just has an average tight end.
Those are generational tight ends. They only come around once every often, and you have to be lucky to hit on them. Hawkinson, you took at 8, and guess what? He's not even close to that. Arguably top 10, in my opinion, outside the top 10 because of how bad he is in the run game. So look,
do you want my pick?
You're making this pick, but I'm just fired up because these Lions suck. They make me irritated, and of course, you know what's going to happen in this game? Watch. I'm going to let you make a pick, but I'm going to pick the Packers probably. I don't know. I'm going to see what you pick because I'm just so iffy on it. I'm going to pick the Packers, and the Lions are going to win this game because they hate me. They're going to spite me, and they're going to win this game.
That'd be hilarious because I am taking the Lions plus 3.5. Go Lions!
Oh, my God, dude.
I think it's going to happen, man. It's going to be very ugly, but I think they barely pull this one out and finally get that second win. Aaron Rodgers, I think it's going to be an ugly game. This ain't a blowout either way. In the past, it's been Rodgers taking it.
This is not good for me.
Not good for your mental health?
Good for me. This is not good for me.
What are you going to do?
I don't want to pick this game, but I put it on the sheet because I wanted us to talk about the Lions and I want us to get fired up. And I was looking at this game, because we're about making money, man. And, I'm...
The Lions are averaging offensively better in every category.
I know, and it doesn't matter.
But their defense is allowing double the amount.
They haven't scored in the second half in the past 3 games. They're terrible on defense. This is the get-right game for Rodgers. This is the get-right game for Rodgers. It has to be, or else there won't be one. I mean, this defense is so bad that that Matt Flynn could repeat his performance every single week against this Lions team that he had a couple years ago when he dropped like 500 yards on the Lions. Look, I am going...
Hot take or not, Aaron Glenn should be fired.
Ooh.
I'm stating that right now. Don't care, Mr. Co-offensive coach. Your defense is garbage.
We'll see. I don't know. I personally would fire Dan Campbell if this gets really out of hand. Like,
I don't hate that, but I think Glenn, you already fired your linebacker coach or DB's coach?
DB's coach.
Yeah, DB coach.
No, the linebacker position for the Lions has actually been their best position this year.
Mostly because
Kelvin Shepard has been a stud as their coach. He's gotten the most out of the linebacking core. I think
Rodriguez is
great. I think Anzalone, I don't love him, but he's had a couple nice games. Chris Board has been one of their highest graded PFF players. Like I said, arbitrary. You don't have to take that into any consideration, but you have guys that are analyzing, positions where the average fan it doesn't really know how to grade out or how to, look at their performance. Chris Board's been really good too. So they're linebacking. And Aiden Hutchinson, can't forget about him. That game against Dallas, he looked really good. And guess what? He got work with the linebackers that week too. So that's, again, Kelvin Shepard's influence involved with, a special or supposedly special player in Aiden Hutchinson, getting the most out of him. I thought he had his best game against Dallas. So the way I see it, look, man, I'm going with... Oh, my goodness. I don't know.
Commercial break.
No, I came into this episode feeling the Packers.
Of course you did.
Because I've just always been on the Lions. But I know if I don't pick the Lions, they're going to screw me. And if I pick the Lions, they're going to screw me. They're just going to screw me either way. So I am going to go with
then pick the Packers so we can see a Lions victory.
I'm going to go with the Lions. I'm going to go with the
He's
Lions.
going with the Lions.
I'm going to go with the Lions.
Go Lions.
I hate myself for
They're great.
I hate myself for this.
We love it. I like it.
And if
I
they
love
lose by a lot, maybe they lose, but they only lose by 3, so then we can celebrate our spread. If they go to 1-7, we're having a Bryce Young show. That's next week. Will be our Bryce Young show.
Yeah, it'll be Bryce Young versus Will Anderson.
No, it's going to be. There will be no discussion for Will Anderson because you cannot take anyone other than a quarterback, and it will have to be Bryce Young.
Because you can't trust an Ohio State quarterback.
I can't. No, and Will Levis. I'm sorry, you put up 95 yards against Tennessee. Goodbye, you're done. So Bryce Young would be the pick.
All right. There we go.
On to game 2,
We're both
man.
riding the Lions.
That was crazy. I'm so upset right now. I'm so upset.
Well, speaking of things that are upsetting, garbage game coming up here. The franchise so bad they're getting sold.
I love this game.
We got Vikings at Commanders. It is Washington Commanders plus 3, and they are being sold because they are trash, but also their owner is kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's a trash bag. So
how you feeling on this one? A little more upbeat, a little more positive?
I love this game, actually. I feel much better about this game. It looks like Chase Young is coming back for the Commanders, so that is a big help. One of the best players in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. The Commanders are already really good defensively, too. They're allowing just 60% completion percentage, and their run defense should get better with the addition of Chase Young, and you know that pass rush is going to improve. So if he's back this week, fully healthy and ready to go, playing a good amount of snaps, that's scary for Minnesota. And I don't really love Kirk Cousins coming back into to Washington, where he was drafted, where he had a lot of good games. Commanders are playing good football. They've won 3 in a row. And I still think the Vikings are a little bit fraudulent, right? I just don't
like the Giants.
A little bit. I mean,
and the Jets.
I think the Vikings are more legitimate than them, but I think they're a little fraudulent. Like when I watch them, I'm not that impressed by them, and I think this is a spot where they drop a game because I think a loss for every team happens at some point. The Vikings are winners of 5 in a row, and I think they've gotten a little lucky during that stretch. I think this is the week where they slip up a little bit. Taylor Heineke gets it done. And look, I just think Snyder's selling the team. There's
positivity in the air.
There's positivity in the air. The grass is greener. The air smells fresher. I'm going to go with the Commanders plus 3.
No more scum.
You're getting a fresh new owner in there at some point. Might be Bezos. We'll see.
Could be a new head coach. Could be new quarterback. Could be a whole reload.
Could be a whole reload. But you know what? They're playing well with Taylor Heineke, and they get it done with Heineke. I don't know why, but they almost beat the Bucs in the playoffs that one. The year that the Bucs went on to win the Super Bowl. The Washington football team then was in that game. They were very much involved in that game. They almost pulled off a shocking upset. So. So a little bit of a left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders, baby. Let's go plus 3.
I'm very happy that Heineke is the quarterback right now. Very happy for that.
Yeah, if this was Wentz, I think I'd go Vikings. But I don't. There's a trust factor with Taylor Heineke.
No, I agree, and it's at home at least for the Commanders. I do agree the Vikings' loss is coming at some point. We've seen recently the Jets absolutely keep crumbling. They're frauds. The Giants finally did hit their loss in Seattle. I do think they can still be steady. They're definitely better than the Jets, but we'll see what happens with them. But even though the Commanders, it seems like a pretty good opportunity for them to win this game, I am taking the Vikings. Taking the Vikings minus 3. I do think it will be a little bit of an iffy game. I think they squeak it out. I think they trail for a bit of the game, honestly, to the Commanders. But I think just being the better team, I think the Vikings get it done. And plain and simple, that's just how it goes. They're better right now pretty much in every category. Patrick Peterson was claiming now's the time to win the Super Bowl. I think that's very bold. I know it would be great to see him win one. That'd be really cool, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. Will Hawkinson be active? I know that's probably not going to change that much and benefits to them, but I don't know if he'll be active.
You know what's weird about Kirk Cousins and them adding Hawkinson is Kirk Cousins isn't really that effective at targeting his tight ends. So I was looking at some stats. He's like one of the worst quarterbacks when targeting his tight ends.
The only time tight ends have been a tight end has been kind of hit in Minnesota was back when Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, and I mean even so, like
that was iffy, and they dumped him.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't like Rudolph was having amazing seasons, So the way I see it is like, okay, you got Hawkinson, like we're just regarding that trade. Okay, you got Hawkinson, but like, and what's that really going to do for your offense? I mean, it doesn't help. He doesn't help your run game.
I agree.
So I mean, maybe it's just a safety net for Kirk to have, but I don't know. I just think that was a really like weird trade for Minnesota to make. And then on top of it, I think this is just one of those games where they slip up. So maybe long term, Minnesota, wins the division and they go on to the NFC Championship game or something crazy. We'll see. But I think, you know what? Screw it. Hawk is going to bring some of that bad Detroit juju over to Minnesota this weekend, and he is going to deliver a loss for the Vikings. You don't get to escape Detroit and win, my friend.
And just claim it's good to win.
You're taking the L this weekend, buddy. Let's go Commanders, baby. Commanders all day. And guess what? They're wearing their all-black uniforms at home for the first time. Those jerseys are gorgeous.
I don't mind the jerseys. Helmets, what were they thinking?
No, I agree, but the black helmets are sweet.
I still think it. I don't like the black. I like everything, but the way the helmets are structured.
That's
I
fair.
think it should just be the dub, not the numbers, not the weird little dub on
Dude,
the front.
I like that.
I don't. I think it looks ugly.
I think it looks sweet.
That was the only thing when they released those jerseys. I was like, okay, the only thing I don't like is the black helmet. I like the black jersey, but I don't like the black helmet. Something about it. Wasn't feeling it. I can tell you that right now. All right, moving on from sad times. Next is Seahawks. Head to Arizona, play the Cardinals. Cardinals -1.5. I don't know. It's just a weird game,
It is a weird game.
It's like Seattle's been playing pretty good. Cardinals have been playing okay, but they just haven't really been getting it done this season. So it's just like, what do you think of it?
No, they're 3-5. They've been a little disappointing. They looked better with D-Hop, obviously. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. But look, I don't feel comfortable committing to Arizona and Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray right now. But this feels like a trap game to me. Everyone's on Seattle. They're the better football team. They have the better record. They've looked great with Geno Smith, and Pete Carroll's done an amazing job. So you're thinking, why are they getting 1.5 points? Look, I'm just going to, like the college games, I'm closing my eyes and taking Arizona. I don't really have much to say on this game. I don't think they're bad, Arizona, but I'm looking at
Arizona.
I'm looking at. They're not even a good home team.
I mean,
everything
might
in
help
this game,
them a little bit.
Everything in
Kyler
this game
can be
is
home
like,
real fast.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, and I know Call of Duty just came out, so a little bit of concern.
Kyler's
there,
focus.
But I mean, look, Seahawks +1.5. You think that's the better pick? Vegas is telling you to take Seattle. I'm just going to lean Arizona. I'm going to take the Cardinals here, -1.5. I'm just going to I'm closing my eyes. Like I said, I'm closing my eyes and taking the Cards here because I can't offer you much. Seattle's a better football team, and they're the underdog in this one. Doesn't make sense to me. I know it's an away game, but still, it doesn't make sense to me. So when it doesn't make sense, most of the time, I'm going to take the side that doesn't make sense because I just think Vegas is kind of telling you to go the other way.
That means if it don't make sense, don't make dollars.
Vegas is about making money. So if they're telling you, yeah, go the other way, sure, go the other way, that means, okay, I'm not going to fall into the trap. I know it got me when Jags -3. That got me a little bit. But then again, so be it. You're not going to hit every time because LSU, I mean, when they said -1.5, they were like, oh, yeah, take Ole Miss, yeah. And LSU destroyed them. So give me Arizona -1.5.
I respect it. I mean, both these teams, you could argue that everything about Seattle is better, but I mean, Benjamin's been pretty good this season.
He's not bad. James Conner might be back. We'll see.
Yeah, but the rushing attack still has been kept up pretty well. K9's been going off this month, ridiculous, which has been kind of crazy. But we knew what was gonna. He's playing what. Probably a little better, but what people expected him to be, coming out of MSU.
Definitely.
But I mean, Seattle's like another team we talked about. We were like, I feel like we put them on the lower spectrum, but like Seattle is outplaying themselves or what we expected them.
Yeah, they're
to
overachieving.
Be. They're overachieving, but also they've been playing well. Like when we talked about Giants Seahawks, we talked about how Giants were the team that was overachieving more so, and you're like, oh, they're due for a loss, but it could have went either way. I mean, I picked the Giants, you took the Seahawks, but you could have argued that either way about that game.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks could have been due for a loss too.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so they didn't, and they were at playing in Seattle is a different kind of little bit of a ball game.
It is for sure, and that was a big concern for me with the Giants going there.
Yeah, all the way across country, different kind of stadium, different kind of vibe. Straight up at the end of the day, I'm playing smart, taking the better team. Seahawks +1 and a hat.
Man.
Yeah, baby.
All right. So, I mean, we're really...
We're versus
we're
this
really
week.
head-to-head this week.
Versus.
These records are going to look a lot different.
No, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, last game of the week, let's get into it because I'm curious what you have in this game because we've been so against each other.
This is a nice little rematch of first round playoffs last year?
Divisional
round last year. Rams at Buccaneers. Stafford and a rough crew head to a beat-up crew in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is -3.
Yes, sir.
I mean, these teams are putting up no points weekly, and their defense is honestly their defense isn't doing too bad. Rams is definitely doing better, but these teams, old quarterbacks, and just not looking how you'd expect them to.
No, you got two quarterbacks who don't look 100% right. I'm not talking physically, although with Stafford, I think there actually is something physically wrong with his elbow. I don't totally trust the reports that we got in the preseason, like we talked about last week. Brady, we know what's going on in his personal life. That divorce is final. I don't really know if that has any impact on how he plays. He's one of the most fearsome competitors out there. Mm-hmm. But any stress or distraction that the legal proceedings with a divorce would have on on anyone, or just the emotional
state,
the emotional side of it. I mean, you would hope that they're subsided now that it's final. And I don't even know if that really has an impact on the outcome of how Tom Brady's playing, but just speculative in that sense. But the Bucs got extra rest for this game because they had the Thursday night game against Baltimore, which they folded at home. And the Rams are coming off a really bad loss to San Francisco. So, I look at this game. The Rams' offensive line is banged up. Cooper Kupp, he got hurt at the end of that game. Sounds like he's going to play, but I don't know if he's 100%. I don't think Higbee's going to play. I mean, full honesty here, didn't check the injury report for the Rams, but if Higbee plays, I don't think he's going to be 100% either because he got banged up in that game too. So if that's, your main targets for Stafford, they're both not 100% or, at least somewhat, impacted by what happened last week against San Francisco. And I also don't think Stafford's 100%. So I'm talking about a Rams team that has a weak offensive line. Their weapons are banged up. Their quarterback, in my opinion, is 100%. That's just a lot. And they have not moved the football. They can't run the football. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers in a get-right spot. They've lost too many games in a row for me to pick them to lose again. So I'm going to trust the GOAT. I'm going to trust Tampa Bay. And that Bucs defense, they're third in sacks in the NFL, and the Rams have given up the 7th most sacks. So that is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So give me the Buccaneers in a really, really ugly game for the Rams. And I'm telling you, that Rams pick is creeping closer to top 10, and I think it's going to get there by season's end.
I mean, it's an ugly game. I mean, 3 for sure. I know 3 Buccaneer starters are going to be out. Current injury report right now, we got. I mean, there's some we still got originals out. You know, like Jake Hummel, linebackers out. Van Jefferson's still out for the Rams. Winfield Jr., Sean Murphy Bunting, Carlton Davis. They're all questionable. But I do believe in Tom. I mean, he's had everything's up and down, and he could really use a win.
He could.
He could really use a win. It's at home. These teams are both, you know, arguably very similar with everything that's going on with them, record-wise, health-wise, you know, age-wise, just everything. But it's very unfortunate that I have to go against Tom, and I'm picking the Rams.
Oh my goodness!
+3. And it was a very iffy pick for me. And I do agree. I think that Rams pick will eventually creep into the top 10 for sure. But I think something about this tells me that the Rams just have that bit more of an advantage over the Bucs. I do, in all fairness, think Tom Brady is due. But I think overall there's just that extra... I don't know, that just extra factor that the Rams are going to have, and they're just going to squeak that one out. I think it's an ugly game. I think you're talking like I don't even want to say like 20-17 kind of win. I feel like it could be lower than that, but unfortunately, I am taking the Rams.
Man.
You didn't expect that, did you?
I just, you know.
After our verses,
maybe I should have expected. I don't know. I mean, I just think Tom Brady they've lost 3 in a row, and I know the Rams have had a losing streak too, but I just think at some point, like, this Bucs team has to turn around. I mean, they just have to. I mean, the same can be said for the Rams, but the Rams aren't good. Like, and maybe the Bucs aren't good either, but the Rams are not a good football team. They don't have this insane defense that they did last year. Losing Von Miller was massive. Their offensive line is nothing like it was before. You have no Whitworth. And let's face it, the Rams' offense last year, before they acquired Odell, was stalling. It wasn't really... it looks a lot like it did now. Allen Robinson is not Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was amazing for them last year. And OBJ really changed the trajectory. And he was the Super Bowl MVP before he tore his ACL again in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was playing that well in the Super Bowl. I mean, he looked amazing once he got to LA. No surprise that, you know, unfortunately, once he got out of Cleveland, my boy Baker appears to have been a really toxic quarterback for receivers. So once Odell got free, he dominated for LA and he looked amazing. And of course, you know, he gets hurt again, and you're seeing that play out now because the Rams just cannot move the football. They can't run the football, and I you know. It's a bold pick with the Rams, and maybe, you know, I should trust you a little bit more with these NFL picks because let's face it, you're 10-6 in the NFL. I'm 7-10, so I'm doing something wrong and you're doing something right. So
we'll really see next week about who's good where.
And you know what? You've been against the Lions when we picked them so far, and you've been right. And now I'm riding with the Lions, so you better be right on them. So, I mean, man, I'm shocked with the Rams pick, but hey, I can't judge you or doubt you or knock you because you've been better than me in the NFL. So I respect it. It's just, you know, I'm shocked by it because I think all signs lead to the Tampa Bay in this game. But
it's all juice.
You're the man with the NFL right now, so I'm not gonna stop putting my faith in you and your picks right now.
You know what? Terry Bradshaw has his money. I got mine. Put it out there for the fans. No, it's going to be a wild week of everything that's happening. But also looking back at that Rams, think about it last year. I get Odell was a difference maker, but of course you can be a difference maker when everyone on that team is healthy. You brought in Von Miller. You got a healthy backfield in Henderson and Cam Akers. Higbee's still good. You have a healthy Kupp and Van Jefferson.
Right.
So I mean, if Odell came in now, I don't think he's gonna change like that. I think he helps him a little, but I don't think the impact's there like it was. Personally.
I don't know. I mean, because the last time we saw Odell on a football field, he looked like the better receiver than Cooper Kupp. That was just the way he was playing. Like,
and
Cooper Kupp
people
still is great, but
Kupp
I mean,
more?
yeah, but I don't know, man. I think Odell really changed life for them last year. I think they miss him a ton. I do. And
well, he'd be there if he was.
If he was hurt. If he was healthy, he would
that'd be a whole different story,
and there'd be no issue. But the Rams are trying to lowball him, get him for cheap because he's hurt, and he's smarter than that. He knows. So
yeah, I mean, he could go retire with Antonio Brown.
I hope it's just a good game, and maybe I'm hoping for Brady to get his revenge after that divisional last year. So
it could be an ugly revenge, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Old man versus old man, broken team versus broken team. Who knows? New week, new picks. We got it going down. Rivalry. They talked about rivalry last week. This is a rivalry week.
Between me and you, yeah. So I'll run down the picks here.
Go ahead, hit that rundown.
All right. So in NC State, Wake Forest coming into town. I got Wake Forest minus 3.5. You have NC State plus 3.5. That's going to be a night show. I think I'm going to lose that game, but whatever.
Woo!
Texas at Kansas State. Kansas State is the home underdog plus 2.5. I got the Longhorns. I'm horns up this week. That's a rare occasion.
Down, baby.
Texas minus 2.5. You got the Wildcats plus 2.5.
Roar.
Bama going into Death Valley at LSU. LSU plus 13.5. You got the Tigers. I got the Crimson Tide. Roll Tide, baby, all day long.
Go Tigers.
And then the other SEC game, the matchup of the week, maybe the matchup of the year, Tennessee at Georgia minus 8.5.
Bold brains.
Georgia minus 8.5. I'm running with the dogs, and I'm barking all night long for sure after that one. And you got the Volunteers plus
money
8.5.
line.
Or I'm sorry, money line.
Money
line for the Volunteers. That's crazy. Yeah, I honestly hope you win just so you can have that big payday. But give me the dogs, and we got the NFL games. Packers at Lions plus 3.5. We're both around the Lions, and I hate myself for it. I hate myself for it.
You want to know why I won? Because you picked them.
I hate them so much.
I should have picked the Packers.
Whatever. Okay, whatever.
All right.
Vikings at Commanders. You got the Vikings minus 3. I got the Commanders plus 3. Give me the home dog.
That's one I'm actually scared about, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think we're going to win that one. Seahawks at Cardinals. You have the Seahawks plus 1.5. I got the Cardinals minus 1.5. That's another one I really like my chances. And then and then Rams at Bucks. You got Rams plus 3. I got Bucks minus 3. And again, that's another one that I really just think I have the upper hand in. So I really think I have the upper hand in most of these. I think in the college, you have a winning week. I think in the NFL, I have a winning week. That's the way I see it.
And then we match it. Then we're just back to them being matched.
Yeah, we'll both be 4-4. I'll win my 4 NFL games, or I'll win my 4. No, I'll win 3 NFL games. The ones that you didn't pick. We'll both lose on the Lions, and then I'll win the Georgia game.
We'll both lose on the Lions.
I'll pick the Georgia game. That'll be my winner, and then you'll win on the rest.
We'll see. All right. Another week, another round, another battle.
Wow.
We'll see what happens this weekend, week 4. Even though it's not really week 4, but it's
episode 4. It's episode 4. Episode 4. Squeeze the juice. We're everywhere. I got to get more active on the TikTok because I don't know. I was thinking maybe I bet the Thursday night game, do a little emergency episode on the TikTok
press conference.
But then I was like, you know what? Not yet. I'm gonna wait because I hated the game. Texans versus the Eagles. Just hate the game.
It was automatic garbage.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to pass on this one, and we'll get some more content pumping out as we continue here. We're on every podcast platform for them. I mean, all the big ones, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever.
Correct.
Whatever else there is. We're on YouTube.
Yes, squeeze the juice.
Instagrams, TikTok. We're going global.
We're going global.
We're going global.
We are going global.
Continue to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the download button, turn on your notifications.
Yes.
Saturdays, 10 a.m.
Yes,
Wake
sir.
up, smell the coffee with a little juice as well.
Oh, I love that. Everything he said times 10. Remember it, know it, book it. All right.
Squeeze it.
Squeeze it.
You got to squeeze it.
All right, y'all. We will see you next week on Squeeze the Juice. Evan's really trying to get that money out. He did so clean earlier, and it's just funny now.
It's not working. That's okay, though. It's working now.
I was about to say it's not working like your picks, but who cares?
Oh!
We'll see you next time.